Welcome back as we continue our discussion here on the platform. Moi héritage Kweyol Langue et KILTI Kweyol la KOTE ite KOTE APWEZAN et KOTE Nouvelle pour VINI. I have a very special guest in studio, Jason Joseph, commonly known as the Bachelor. He's an educator, a Creole enthusiast, has been an educator for some 31 years now and currently employed with the Ministry of Education as a music curriculum specialist. Bachelor, welcome to our studios.
Merci, Phil. Thank you very much.
It's okay to refer to you as the Bachelor, right?
Well, that apparently doesn't seem to be changing at all, so I'm okay with it, no problem.
Bienvenue à ce programme là. Nice to have you this morning. We'll do it in two parts. Puis m'avlo blâmer moi temps moi aller l'école. You parti vle nous parler créole, you parti vle nous la yo te parler créole, you parti même vle nous ton la yo te parler.
En chaidi nous teni même expérience là. Moi comprendre. Il était même bagay là et puis moi parents moi te ka parler créole là mais nous pas habitué à répondre yo en créole mais ou ka apprendre quand même.
Oui. So let's start off. We'll do it in two parts. Understanding of the Creole language as it relates to our history, identity, identify and culture. How do these factors influence the language?
From my experience, I think the attitudes that people have towards the language is the most important thing, because our history with our, whatever you want to call it, colonizers, whatever, the whole history of slavery, it really had a negative impact, I think, on people depending on the different classes of society. As a matter of fact, on social media, was it just yesterday, I saw a comment from somebody saying that we're in the language of our colonizers. That's actually the attitude that some people have. Even some of our dances and some of our traditional practices and so on, they view it as we just pushing and promoting the negative aspects of our past. So I think that's one of the main ways it has affected the language, the attitudes. And because the attitudes of people in certain classes of society, then it's been suppressed. Not as much today, I would like to think, but in the past it has been suppressed and not given the prominence I think that it deserves.
So you think as a society we haven't been able to shake off that historical stigma?
It's still there. I think we've come a long way, but like I said, because of social media brings a lot of things that you wouldn't see and hear in the past. It makes it more prominent, and you see people's comments and the discussions that are happening. So I think we still have some way to go, but I don't think it's as bad as perhaps before, a long time ago.
Excellent. Now, you get an appreciation that a lot more people are speaking the language. We have a long way to go, but you don't get much people writing Creole. How much do people understand and grasp that aspect of it?
A number of people tend to think that it is something difficult because it's not what they're used to seeing in some cases. Like they try to compare it with French and with English. I honestly believe that it is very simple to learn to write the Creole. I have taught a couple people who are interested as a keyword, not even formally, by just giving them a few tips, and they've picked it up in no time. Of course, it takes some practice for you not to keep going back to your old ways and making the errors and so on. But really and truly, it's not very difficult, and that is what I really have been trying to get across to St. Lucians. Just spend 5 minutes, pay attention. Because they see the Creole on social media these days. I've been pushing it for over 12 years or something. They see it. So just pay attention. So that is the sound A. It's not AY, it's E with an accent. That alone erases half of your problems when it comes to writing Creole. But most people just don't pay attention. It's as simple as that.
And you must first be interested. Yeah. You cannot just say, okay, and I picked this up from one of your tips online as well. So you want to learn to write it and you don't have a dictionary to start.
That is very important. Even going further than that, and that speaks to learning in general, it is impossible to learn anything if you don't first pay attention. Because if you're not paying attention, you're not receiving any information, so you really have to just pay attention, and that's really what applies with the orthography. You just look at it. You don't even need a formal class sometimes. You look at it, you see the different sounds. Also, this is how you write it. Because the thing about Creole is that there is just one way to write each of the sounds. It's not like English where you have options. You can decide to put K for K and CH like in choir, or C as in cat. You have several options. In Creole, it's just one way to write every sound. So it can be mastered in no time, in my opinion.
And there is the available literature to assist you.
Definitely. We've had a dictionary for, to me, over 30 years or something. As I said, social media, Instagram, Facebook, lots of YouTube, all over the place.
You've been in the education sector for a while now. Slowly we've seen introduction of Kweyol. Are we moving at the pace we should?
The thing is, on the professional side of it, in education, those things take time. Like you have to develop policies, make sure you put things in place. My opinion and my argument is that there are things that can be done in the meantime before you officially introduce maybe a subject or a language in the curriculum. Dominica is doing it very well. Dominica has several activities for the primary school children, secondary schools here like St. Joseph's Convent. I don't know if you've been following. They've had a Creole spelling competition recently. They have different activities that force the children to think Creole and to even write and learn to spell. So I just think there's a lot that can be done. For example, there is no law that says teachers currently cannot begin learning to read and write the Creole. You don't need any official ceremony, any policy to begin teaching the teachers how to read and write Creole. So I think there's a lot that can be done because they are the ones that will have to teach the children eventually. There's nothing to say that different organizations, the banks, different ministry departments cannot have workshops for their staff, especially even the media. Can you write Creole, by the way?
No, but I will be taking a few classes with you soon.
Yes, even the media, you don't have to wait for anybody to do that for you because you're involved in, whether it be songs that are in Creole or advertisements or just a caption. So there is no reason for us to wait for any official policy. There's a lot that can be done in the meantime.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you. It doesn't have to come from official policy. And to be fair, there have been some movements. So you go to the banks, so one institution stands out, and you would hear the ATM message in Creole, and that's standard throughout the year, not just for Creole Heritage Months. But I think it starts, and you might agree, Jason, it starts with us appreciating and respecting it and the value of it.
Yes, and I believe that's part of my mission, apart from trying to educate people, promote the language. But like I said, to change the attitude, I hate to use this word, but to make Creole a little more sexy for especially the younger generation, that kind of thing. To let people understand that Creole is not just a language that you use to curse or to give an old joke or to quarrel, but you can just choose to switch at any time and decide to speak, you know, Creole. So just to change people's attitude towards it a little bit, you know, I think that's the tough job ahead.
Yeah, you don't seem satisfied that St. Lucians actually live in Creole language, more so.
No, not at all, you know. As a matter of fact, and this is what puzzles me, there are a number of St. Lucians in their home environment with their friends. That's what they basically speak, maybe throughout the entire day. But for some reason, when they're in a different environment, when you as an outsider attempt to speak Creole with them, they switch, they go to English. It's almost like Sapapu, that's for my friends, you know, that's for my family. But actually, a number of St. Lucians, from my observation, both young and old, on a daily basis, if you look at construction workers, most likely when you pass there, you hear them speaking Creole. So I think it's something we use, but on a, I don't know, a localized kind of setting in family, with your buddies, people you're familiar with. But for some reason, we have to switch and be more professional when it's a stranger, when we're in an office, when we go in and conduct business. I think that's the situation. And of course, we don't take it as seriously as we should to learn to read and write. Yeah. Because I think that's what we are missing, to get people more interested. Because people will now be able to read books and to read pamphlets and advertisements in Creole and design T-shirts properly without spelling it wrong, you know, that kind of thing. So that's what we are missing, the reading and writing pattern.
There's additional capital
yes,
obviously.
it opens a lot of doors to you, yeah.
Yeah, We are here with Jason, the Bachelor Joseph, discussing the Creole language and culture, where it was, where it is now, and where we would like to see it to go in, and stand in years to come. The phone lines are open. The WhatsApp platform 5840600, or the landline as well 4500777 4500777. You can call in and join the discussion here with my very special guest in studio, Jason Joseph. Let's go back to the education sector and plans afoot there. But even before, culture, the capital, generating much needed capital from this aspect of the culture, the language. What benefits do you see for us as a nation moving in that direction, giving it more prominence, not as a secondary or forbidden language, but as an official language of ours?
The thing is, my views about that might not be similar to other people. I mean, I have no issues with the whole economic aspect of it and the people turning it into a business, which people are already doing. Unfortunately, that seems to be a lot of people's focus, to see how they could milk the Creole. In my opinion, it's a matter of appreciating what is yours. In other words, if we were the only country in the world that's Creole, to me, why should you let it die? That is what we have as a people. That's what makes us St. Lucians. So we should be trying to keep it alive, promote it as much as possible. It doesn't matter whether it has no benefit, although I don't agree, outside of St. Lucia or whatever. To me personally, that is not the most important thing. That is what we have. It's a language that we can use to communicate with our grandparents, our family, whatever. Why should we let it die? To me, that's the most important aspect of it. But of course, like you said, economic activities and financial benefits, whatever, from developing the Creole, we can't run away from that. But personally, that has never been my focus.
Yeah, it should be for us and our own appreciation of
yes,
who we are.
And that is actually one of the reasons why it's very difficult to get funding, sponsorship. The people that came before me, the Frank Norvis and the Joyce Ogis, I mean, I used to hear those people complain. And one of the reasons I suspect is maybe people just don't see the value in putting money in a traditional folk dance or something to do with, Creole. They just probably don't see the value. I suspect it's changing, like I said, slowly, but I think that's one of the issues that we've had, that everything for people is just money, 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 and you can't blame them, I mean.
See, the treatment of language, we really losing that treatment of the language. Are we really losing our roots as a society?
I wouldn't necessarily say losing it, because I'm honestly seeing, I have hope, in other words.
Okay.
I'm seeing things improving, so it's difficult for me to say we are. I'm actually seeing things getting better. The problem is, as a country, we are too seasonal. So in other words, for a lot of people, quand Octobre fini, tout le monde fait excited. There are people that don't even want to eat green fig and saltfish after October has passed. I'm telling you, that's how bad it is. And it's just something in our St. Lucian nature. It's the same for, like I said, things like calypso, and we just don't want to have anything to do with it after. And I think that's part of the problem. It has to become more of who we are. You understand? Why should we wait for October to speak Creole?
Even the dress, Mr. Joseph, you wear it outside of the traditional month, and people tell you, what are you doing? It's
and there are other occasions to which you could have some function where, for example, you have foreign people coming and you want them to see your national wear. You could have whatever it is, Christmas, Independence, so many occasions where you can just dress, or just dress because you feel like dressing. But nah, we are just too seasonal. Yeah. And I think that's one of the things affecting the development that we want to see.
Yeah, and we're too commercially focused as well. Everything has to come back down to a profit. Your final words, Bachelor, on where would you like to see it, and how can every solution, the different sectors, play a role in advancing the language, both our speaking and our writing of Creole?
What I want to say is, nous jaka parler Creole là, tout le monde en l'opinion moi, chaque monde sa parler Creole. Même si c'est un timide, you sa comprendre, we already at that stage. let us just embrace it a little more. Let us just support it a little more, push it a little more, and take it to the next level. Learn to read and write the Creole. That is the next step. Because like I said, we already speaking it. There are people who are trying every single day to post something on social media, whether it be a joke or something, but they spell it badly. Gone were the days when you can just write things anyhow. In the early days, I used to make it my business to correct people. You take a Creole, police Creole. Now there are several people doing it, so people are more aware that they cannot just write things anyhow. So that is the next step. Folks, let us just learn to read and write Creole, and a lot of doors will open after that. You will start to see signs at workplaces and on the airport and whatever. That is the next step, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's not good enough for us to just speak. We must be able to write it.
Yes.
That
yes.
gives it the respect that it needs.
That is correct.
Yeah. We'll have you back at another time to discuss other matters of education, language, and our heritage as well. But I want to thank you for your time this morning. I know you have to head to work and to continue advocacy for the language. Near born Fet Kweyol.
Power.
Bachelor Joseph, my very special guest in studio this morning, talking about the Creole language. I have one more guest to come in, and so much more happening on the platform. 8 o'clock the time now in St. Lucia, the Eastern Caribbean.
Ooh la la! See what's new at Courts. We've got great deals on living and dining room sets, appliances, electronics, and smart devices, and more. Shop today with no cash using